If you want it, you got it. This world is yours.
I gotta ask you, man, that piece that you just did, man, what was the inspiration behind that?
Science, you know, people tend to believe what they're told, and I tend to wonder a lot.
Okay.
You know, and when you wonder a lot, people wonder about you.
That is true.
Like, yeah, what's wrong with it?
True.
You know, so I don't know. It's just my fight to always discover new things.
There you go. And allow yourself to discover new things and not always conform, because as people, we've been conditioned, especially in this country, just to go along with what they tell you.
Yes.
Yeah, so I love that, man. Now, this was the piece you read. Like, you read from this book, Pools of Joy, man. Cool. I just want to say, amazing again.
Thank you, man.
Now, what can people expect if they pick this book up?
It's a lot of free-form poetry. The previous book was formatted, you know, in haikus, but this one is more just self-expression. Pools of Joy in general is just the idea of the laugh cry. You know, you laugh so hard that you cry.
Yes.
And what are those tears from? Something that you probably should have cried about weeks ago.
But you finally getting it out right now.
And it's just, it rides the wave of joy and it just comes out. So Pools of Joy, it's just me getting stuff off my chest, things I've thought about, things I witnessed, you know?
Gotcha, it's great though, man. It's amazing. I will say, you are a creative brother. Like, you really are. Like your previous book where it was all haikus, best title I ever heard of a poetry book. It's called Hut Haiku. Like, bro, come on, man. I love the creativity, man. You look like a true artist though. Like, you don't look like a dude that has a 9-to-5.
I do, but I don't want one.
You don't want one?
No.
And like I said before, I know you're a true artist because y'all suffer for your craft and you wearing a scarf in Florida. That's how I know, bro. You're a real artist out here.
It's cold out here.
Yeah, it is cold out here,
but it's hot too, though.
There you go. I gotta ask you, how did you first discover your love of poetry?
A friend of mine invited me to a Facebook group. My friend Jimbo, he invited me to a Facebook group called Haikus or whatever. And I started writing haikus, and he was making like silly fart jokes and stuff. And then I just went in there and my brain started going overdrive, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I can turn 2 paragraphs of thoughts into one little boop.
Now, how long had you been doing poetry at that point?
It's probably like 2018, 2017 that I started doing the haikus, and people would see me in the street. You're the guy that makes haikus.
Bro, so you only been doing it for that short amount of time, and you already have written that well?
Yeah. Well, thank you.
But no, bro, come on, no, man. Yes. Like so many people, like during the pandemic and stuff, you found your calling.
During the pandemic, we went on tour. We were like, it was weird.
Are you a Floridian?
I'm born in Jamaica. I was raised in Miami.
Raised in Miami? Yeah, I could tell because you did not give a damn.
No.
You just, during the pandemic, like, we just gonna go on tour.
We went farther than ever. I don't know. It was weird.
Now, you have a blog that you also do as well.
Yes, it's on Medium.
Okay.
I do a lot of writing for entrepreneurs and other creative spirits because a lot of my audience is other creators.
Okay.
So I try to give them knowledge and insight. Just anything I come across, I'll just make how-tos. My friend Ivan, my photographer, inspired me to start my blog again. So it's very cool to stay connected and instead of just always giving people, here, read my new poem. Like,
give them something else. Let them see you for who you are, man. Let them be endeared by the things that you're actually out here doing. So I will say this, man. You are an author. You are a poet. You do blogs as well, but you also are a musician.
I am.
Talk about that a little bit. Like your whole, this looks like musician to me. Right there, man.
The short, long version is we started making beats like in 2004.
Okay.
A couple years later, I picked up a microphone. A couple years after that, I stopped being bad. And then
I picked up a microphone. A couple years later, stopped being bad at it.
And then people started paying us to do things. So, you know, it's like, you just see that progression of taking, you know, exposure and people trying to pimp you out sometimes. And to the point where, like, you know, you'll have one person, hey, you want this opportunity? And then they got that snaky look in their eyes, and another person's like, hey, I'll give you this handful of money to come stand here and do nothing. I'm like,
there you go.
It's very cool. I get to express myself. I went from being super introverted to now I can come outside and I don't mind being around people.
Gotcha.
I recommend going on stage, speaking some poetry if anybody is afraid of crowds or anything, because it really helped pull me out of my shell, and
there you go.
People give me money. I'm gonna highlight that part.
Gotcha. I want you to do something for me in the audience. Tell them the difference between free-form poetry and haiku, because you wrote this book, which I love, man. Great title right here, man. Hut Haiku.
Yes.
Now, what's the difference so people know?
So a haiku is this Japanese art form where you have a 3-line poem that is made up of 5 syllables in the first line, 7 syllables in the second line, 5 syllables in the third line. So if I were to say, a beautiful day when the sun is shining through and the clouds are few. That's a haiku, right?
On the spot. Okay, all right.
So those are all, each chapter there is following the emotional scale, starting from shame, going to enlightenment.
Okay.
And just has 5 haikus revolving around each emotion.
Gotcha.
So I was inspired by another book I read, Power versus Force, when I put this together.
I want to ask you before we go real quick, man, about the shirt.
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that and what that means.
All right, so thank your water, not me. If you've ever heard of Dr. Masaru Emoto and other scientists who, dance around the edge of thought.
Okay.
There's ideas that you can talk to your water, that your water has memory, that you can increase the quality of your water by saying nicer, more pleasant, more high vibrating things to it.
Really?
And I started thanking my water once I learned about all these things. I started telling people to thank your water. Everywhere I go, I ask people if they drank water. And people will say, sometimes, oh, I didn't drink water today, but thanks. And I'm like, no, thank your water, not me.
Yeah, okay, all right, I get it. I'm going to start talking to my Hennessy. But anyway.
But you gotta put the work in, shawty. Ain't nobody save me.